Hey you guys, and welcome to my channel. Rape is a topic that is definitely very near and dear to me here on this channel. I've even written a book called Silent Tears that I created to help survivors have additional resources to have therapy in the privacy of their own home. If you're interested in that content, before we continue with the video, it is available on Amazon's and Barnes & Noble's, an ebook or hard copy. And if you would like a signed copy, you can visit my website, lakiacrawford.com. Okay, and you can find it there. I believe there's a tab called books and our products that you can hit, and that will lead you there. Okay. Either way, you guys, part of a channel like this is definitely going to be to raise awareness in all forms and kinds of abuse, and rape and sexual abuse is definitely going to be one of those things. All right. I'm not even monetizing this video because I just purely want to get this information out here. And, you know, rape is still a taboo subject, even though there have been some strides and progresses made here. In the area, we still have so much more to go. And I definitely want to use my platform to be one of those people that can put information out there to inform the public of things that are less spoken about. Okay. So on this video, I'm going to point out 3 things that, you know, most people who have not experienced rape. And also this will provide insight for those of you who have actually experienced rape, of these 3 things as well, that I would like to bring to the surface about rape that are less spoken about and that really need to be put out there. And I think that this would help start the conversation anyway. And like I said, it could help someone understand themselves better or understand their loved one who may have experienced this as well. All right. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about here is a lot of people will be surprised to know that the rape victim may not even can recall what the rape felt like. And this might sound like really weird and strange because it's like somebody, you know, for the woman, someone was inside of you, you know, and for the male, vice versa, there was a connecting of 2 bodies. But I want to point out that even though on the 3D realm, there was this physical connection, there's also a severe disconnection at the same token. And that is what really needs to be focused on at this point, and realizing that, you know, this wasn't a welcomed intimacy that was occurring here. There was one party here that was not in agreement to this. So that created a situation for that person to be severely discomforted and to have even, and chances are, a level of fear and fright that is activated within this person's nervous system. And once that happens, you guys, we have ways that our body will deal with feeling such an extreme level of discomfort, you guys. And that's why we hear about the fight or the flight. But a lesser one that we don't hear about, that is actually most prevalent when it comes to sexual assault and rape, is the freeze. Okay, yes, someone can flight, try to run away. They could fight their abuser, which is less likely. We'll get into that in a moment. Or freezing. And that freeze is when our brain shuts down, our muscles controls. So it's almost, you would feel like you were a corpse at that time, or a limp noodle, you know. And then most survivors are having like this outer body experience feeling at that time. And if you think of an outer body experience, it's like your spirit, your soul is outside of the body temporarily, and you're lost in a space of time and you're not feeling your earthly body. And this is a protection mechanism. This is your body's way, or their body's way, of protecting them in that moment, actually. Because when someone freezes, that is involuntary, meaning your brain has chosen that for you. And once your brain puts you into freeze mode, it will decide when it will let you out of it as well. And this is what I've described in other videos when I talked about other mammals, such as deers. Deers is a great example of this, how they run in the middle of the road and they see these headlights come, and then their nervous system goes into a shock and they're in fear and they freeze. And this is unfortunately how they end up getting hit by the car. And oftentimes this could lead to that deer losing its life. So yes, when the survivor freezes, when the attacker is trying to force themselves on them, and it doesn't mean that the survivor didn't try to fight at some point or didn't say no. When these things failed, it could default to a freeze, or it could just go to that freeze because it's an overwhelming, like, whoa, what's going on here? As most rapes are occurring between people that they know, friends, families, lovers. So that can be overwhelming. So yeah, that outer body experience is creating it, and it's stemming from that freeze and that effect of being frozen in time almost. So a lot of people, I want to put that out there, and it helps you understand, what is it like to be a survivor of rape more than not? What has this person probably experienced, and what was it like for them? Because we have these Hollywood images and, preconceived notions. But chances are that person might not even be able to tell you what that felt like. It wasn't like they were just, it wasn't a welcome experience. They weren't having these good feelings that people feel with sexual intercourse or orgasming and stuff like this. Is not what was going on with that person. Maybe the sick attacker, but not the victim. Okay, so that's the first thing that I would like to point out in this video. Chances are they can't even tell you what that felt like, with that whole act that person was violating on them, what that felt like. And that is probably very alarming to the general public, who would think that they would have felt every second of it. But that's not how the brain works, and that's not how trauma and abuse typically works. Okay, so I definitely want to shine light on that. And if you are a survivor out there who actually, because you froze, and maybe watching this video, you're actually understanding what it was that you were even doing. It's like, wow, that's what was going on. Like, I've been like so hard on myself. Like, how could I not know what that felt like? Is information, knowledge can definitely be empowering in finding our healing and understanding our experiences. Okay, so I wanted to make that first point. The second point, and this may be pretty alarming to the masses of the population, is most victims choose not to report their rape. That is more than not. And I'm actually here on the RAIN website, which is a great resource, and I'll leave a link here, and that is the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network. And it's a great place to find a lot of statistics and actually a lot of support as well within your community and nationally here in the United States. Okay. But yeah, most people do not report their rape. So let me go on here and pull up the statistic that I was looking at here that could help you see this. All right, so this is how they're describing it. Let's say 230. All right. So the big statistic is out of 1,000 sexual assaults, 995 perpetrators will walk free. So that alone could be very discouraging for a person who experiences such a crime and abuse and trauma. And that wouldn't make them actually feel encouraging to come forward. It would make them feel like society is not as helpful with this type of thing. So out of every 1,000, 995 will walk free. It says out of 1,000, 230 are reported to the police. 46 reports lead to an arrest out of that 230. 9 of those cases that led to an arrest will get referred to a prosecutor. 5 of those out of the 230 that's even reported will lead to a felony conviction, and 4.6 rapists will be incarcerated overall. So those are the statistics that they have here. And then when they listed the reasons why people weren't, 20% feared retaliation, okay? 13% believed the police would not do anything. 13% believed it was a personal matter, so they know their rights. 8% reported to a different official. 8% believed it was not important enough to report. So a lot of times there's low self-esteem, and this person has already been abused in other ways in life, or, they're feeling shameful for that experience of what someone else did to them. Okay. 7% did not want to get the perpetrator in trouble. So here we're talking about trauma bonds. 2% believe the police could not do anything to help, as we see the statistics here. And 30% gave another reason or did not cite one reason. Okay. So yeah, although the percent of rapes are actually increasing, it says that it went from 29% in 2004 to 34% now. So I think, maybe the Me Too movement or more support in the community, maybe that is actually encouraging people to come forward. It's still not nearly where it should be. But, when we have victim shaming, cognitive dissonance, and all these type of things going on, it could be very discouraging for that victim. And like I said in my number 1, when we were talking about not feeling it, a lot of times it's a person that they know. And that can be an onion right there as well that could cause a lot of inner turmoil and conflict. And they may even have friends and family who are trying to protect the person, the predator at that point. So, a lot of confusion that can be going on with that victim. Okay. So yeah, it's something that's not reported. And I think people are like, oh, everybody's running to the police. Everybody's claiming they've been raped and this and that. No, actually, people still are keeping this on a hush, and people are actually not taking that route. So, I really feel like it's just too much in the climate, victim shaming and victim bashing here that is going on. So I definitely wanted to point that out. Everyone is not running, and they should be, Well, I'm not going to say they should be, but I'm saying they have a right to. That's more so. They have a right to. If they experience it and they want to go and take legal action, they have a right to. And if it's all that many people, then all that many people have a right to do it But, you know, obviously every victim gets to decide, you know, what's best for them in their situation. But if they have a right to, is what I really want to say at this point. You have a right to, and there's time for frames for each state has their time frames to when you can. So don't feel like, you know, oh, I waited too long and I can't do it. So if you want to still do it, you can, you know, if it's within a certain time frame legally. Okay. So that's the second thing that I really wanted to point out. In a society that feels like everybody at the drop of a hat is saying that they've been raped and this and that, that is actually factually couldn't be further from the truth. Okay, most people are biting their tongue, and you know, maybe they're going through this painful experience in silence. That is actually most likely in what is occurring. Okay. So the third thing that I want to talk about that people are actually going to be surprised to find out is that most of the victims did not fight their attacker off. Let me pull up the study that they did of college students. You know, and basically, a lot of times there isn't a physical resistance or resisting that goes on. And there was a Swedish study back in 2017, and it found that 70% of the 298 women rape survivors experience involuntary paralysis. And this is what I was talking about earlier, that kind of goes along with freezing. And once that happens, like I was saying, you're losing control of your muscles. Okay? Because a lot of people are asking, you know, did you fight back? Did you resist? And they're like, if you didn't do those things, you must have wanted it on some level. False. That cannot be further from the truth, you guys. And, you know, like I was starting out talking about the fight and the flight and the freezing, okay? The freezing aspect of it. And that leads to the involuntary paralysis, you guys. And I really wanted to bring that to the surface. So let me just read what it has here. During the assault, they experienced a kind of temporary paralysis called tonic immobility. And those who experienced extreme tonic immobility were twice as likely to suffer post-traumatic stress disorder and 3 times more likely to suffer severe depression in the months after the attack. Okay. So when they have the tonic immobility, individuals cannot move or in many cases even speak. Okay. So they're saying this is most likely the response when it comes to the sexual abuse. All right, you guys. So I really wanted to shed light on the involuntary paralysis, or basically the TI, or the tonic immobility. All right. So yes, a lot of times, number one, survivors can't even tell you what that act, that horrible act felt like on their body. They have this outer body experience. And it may be the one and only time in their life where they had this sexual attack or sexual experience, and they can't even tell you what it felt like. All right. Number two, most of the time, the survivors don't tell. So no, I want to debunk that. Everybody's running around claiming they've been raped. No, it is still very much the case that people are suffering in silence. They are, you know, just trying to heal and move on with their life. They're trying to find their healing, move on with their life. And a lot of people feel very intimidated and very hopeless about turning to the judicial system. Okay. And number three, I definitely wanted to shed more light on the involuntary paralysis, because a lot of people ask, hey, did you fight back? Did you resist? You know, we have like this Hollywood image, like I said, of this person and someone's attacking them. Oh, if someone try to do this to me, I'm going to kick their butt. I'm going to bash their head. I'm going to do. And then what is most likely to happen is that person will probably end up freezing, which is going to cause that involuntary paralysis, or like I was mentioning, the TI or the tonic immobility. And this has been shown case after case, study after study in these types of situations. Okay. So, you know, again, if you are a survivor, I'm speaking to the public as well, but I know that some of you are probably survivors that are watching this. And maybe one of the things that you are, you know, being very not showing compassion to yourself because you feel like, you know, why didn't I bash him up outside the head, him or her? Or why didn't I, you know, attack this person? Or what happened to me? Why didn't I fight them off in the way that you envisioned that you would? Because, you know, it's one thing to say what we will do before we are in the midst of a trauma. And then it's another thing to actually be in the midst of that trauma and with our emotions running and with all that fear and adrenaline going. And then when our nervous system and then our brain starts to, you know, their receptors and they're picking up these things, and then it starts making these decisions to try to actually protect us. Okay. So I definitely wanted to bring light to that, guys. And I hope, you know, that this is helping. It's more like a public service announcement, if you will, of 3 things that, you know, we can shed light on when it comes to this sexual abuse here. I know that is still a very much a taboo subject here in our society, but, you know, it needs to have a certain kind of attention. And I definitely, like I said, I want to use my platform to push out this information. So please like this video, share this video, and, you know, let's get it out there. You know, I just want to push this message. It's so important to me. I hope that it has helped someone. And like I said, I do offer private counseling and coaching for those who like to work with me on that. And I've written a book, you know, that you can just privately go through this book. And it has exercises within it and just perceptions and mentalities and information to help you through the healing process, and not just a bunch of cold statistics, you know. And it's written from one survivor to another, you guys. So someone who has actually been there and done that. So there is life on the other side of it, and you can find your healing. And, you know, that's definitely what I want. And it helps to have a society, an environment that understands more about it. You know, that's definitely not going to hurt, right? So thank you for tuning into this video. And like I said, please feel free to like, share, comment, and, you know, feel free to email me, CoachLakia@gmail.com, if you are having a situation in regards to sexual abuse and you feel confused about that. And actually feel free to visit the RAIN website. I'm going to put the link down here below, just so you could just touch it with your fingertip. And they have a lot of resources, and there's a lot of hotlines, because I know the devastation that this can cause on one's self-esteem and how it can trigger depression and PTSD and all these types of things. All right. Thank you for your time.